April 17, 2025. Night skies over western Yemen. Houthi radar suddenly picked up a heat signature. Fast, high, and dead silent. They assumed it was a UAV. Just another routine intercept. Within seconds, 2 Sea missiles were armed, locked on, and fired. But the target this time wasn't a drone. It was a B-2 Spirit, the U.S. Air Force's stealth bomber. Flying wing design, maximum radar deflection. Virtually undetectable, unless it wants to be. And this time, it did exactly what it intended. The missiles launched, fire slicing across the night sky. But before the warheads could reach altitude, the target vanished. Not shot down, not hit. It simply disappeared. Inside the control room, Houthi operators were in chaos, confused, disoriented. No trace, no response, no target. And the B-2? Still gliding silently overhead, undeterred, streaming high-resolution recon imagery straight to Diego Garcia, deep in the Indian Ocean. What it sent that night wasn't a warning shot. It wasn't a drone bombing Ras Isa. It wasn't a fleet launching flares. It was the spark, the beginning of one of the most calculated, precise, and devastating airstrikes in recent U.S. military history. You saw the aftermath at Ras Isa. But this moment, this place, this is where it started. The Houthis picked the wrong target. And the American response? Not just accurate, it was personal. As soon as the Shi'ad missiles were launched, the Houthi forces fell behind. They had tracked a heat signature, estimated a flight path, and mistakenly assumed that it was a US MQ-9 Reaper drone. The MQ-9 is a familiar presence in Yemen's skies. This seemed routine. But what showed up on radar wasn't a drone. It wasn't conducting a sweep. It was a B-2 Spirit on an actual strike mission. And it wasn't just flying overhead, it was watching. At high altitude, the B-2 glided silently. Its surface was coated with radar-absorbent material. Its angled design scattered electromagnetic reflections. Radar cross-section? Smaller than a bird. Not low enough to see, nearly invisible. Still, something had triggered a signal. A brief pulse, just enough for the Houthi system to attempt a lock. From a camouflaged SAM position outside Al-Houda, hidden on a rocky hillside, 2 missiles were launched. Inside the B-2 cockpit, the threat receiver ticked quietly. No loud alarms, just a subtle cue. The pilot adjusted course and activated countermeasures. No evasive dive, no burner sprint. The platform's defense was passive. Disappear. The missile lock failed. Trajectory broke, no contact. But the B-2 sensors missed nothing. It recorded infrared trails, launch angle, impact region. Most importantly, launch coordinates. That data was relayed directly to Diego Garcia, live mission feed. Within seconds, U.S. intelligence teams had tagged the location, mapped the surrounding terrain, and cross-referenced thermal signatures with known system profiles. What emerged wasn't a single launcher, but a mobile SAM network, repositioning in secrecy. As Houthi forces scrambled to relocate, U.S. analysts had already captured everything: geometry, telemetry, thermal indicators. The B-2 didn't just pass through danger, it built a complete telemetry profile of the site. The situation changed instantly. Normally, even for a B-2, the aircraft would complete its mission, download the data after landing, and wait for command to assess. But that night didn't follow protocol. The Spirit wasn't just conducting reconnaissance, it was fully armed. Payload, GBU-57, a massive bunker-busting bomb. Accompanied by JDAMs, precision-guided munitions, optimized for hardened underground targets. No extra time was needed to authorize the strike. Command already had orders in place. The attack on the B-2 was deemed a direct hostile act. The response order: immediate retaliation. And when the B-2 struck back, there was no warning. No flare. No flash across the sky. Only silence, precision, and complete surprise. At high altitude, concealed by clouds and the curve of the Earth, the B-2 received updated targeting coordinates. A minor course correction, just a few degrees south. But that subtle shift was all it took to bring every weapon on board into precise striking range. While Houthi forces still scanned for signs of impact, the Spirit had already locked in GPS coordinates, ready to drop the first pair of JDAMs. They left the bay without a sound, gliding under gravity, self-navigating through the air. Both hit their mark with less than 1 meter of deviation, a concealed installation hidden beneath a camouflaged bunker. The detonation was immediate. Secondary explosions followed. The site that had once launched missiles was now a crater carved into the mountainside. It's one of those decisions that's really controversial. Feel free to share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear from you. But the strike wasn't over. 2 more bombs were released, coordinates locked. Target: a hardened bunker, flagged by intel as either an ammunition depot or a command node. Each bomb, 5,000 pounds. Built not just to destroy, but to penetrate. They hit hard and deep. From the moment the Houthis fired their missiles to the moment US bombs struck the ground, less than 15 minutes. 15 minutes from the instant they confidently pressed launch to the moment their entire site was wiped off the map. And the B-2? Gone. Climbing westward. Undetected, untouched, mission complete. This aircraft wasn't deployed to intimidate. It had a clear purpose: deliver precision strikes deep inside enemy territory, where conventional surface attacks fall short. This is not a tactical aircraft. It's a strategic weapon, activated when there's no room for error. And every time it takes flight, it signals something bigger is coming. Even in 2025, the Spirit could still stun modern air defense systems. Despite decades of radar evolution, it flies unseen, a phantom in the sky. The entire network can't track it. And that's exactly why the Houthi launch wasn't just a threat, it was a mistake. They had no idea what they were dealing with, no idea what they had triggered, no idea their failed strike would hand the US a live telemetry package. Because the B-2 didn't just drop bombs, it scanned, it tagged stockpiles, mapped communication hubs, captured thermal signatures, and streamed it all, live, to joint operations. In a single mission, it neutralized an entire SAM air defense network, and in doing so, paved the way for follow-on strikes, all of it, while remaining completely invisible. If you find this accuracy and planning appealing, please hit the like button. It helps us come up with more never-before-seen missions like this. The US Air Force launched its follow-up strike just minutes after the B-2 completed data collection. FA-18 Hornets, armed with GBU-38 JDAMs and AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles, surged toward Yemen. This wasn't a prolonged campaign. The entire operation unfolded in under 8 minutes. The first target, the Siad missile launcher, that had fired at the B-2. The data from the Spirit was flawlessly accurate. Guided bombs were dropped from high altitude, piercing camouflage nets and reinforced concrete. The first explosion obliterated the launch site. A secondary blast revealed hidden munitions beneath. The aircraft then redirected to a second target, an underground communications hub 2 kilometers away. That site had remained silent for weeks until the B-2 detected it coming back online. A single penetrator bomb was released. The target was completely neutralized. At the same time, while the B-2 and strategic bombers engaged hardened positions, a carrier strike group from the USS Truman launched a parallel assault on Ras Isa port. This wasn't just a commercial dock, it was a logistical artery, supplying fuel, funds, and operational flexibility. The Houthis had long assumed the US wouldn't strike it due to civilian risk. They were wrong. At 1:15 a.m. local time, Super Hornets swept across the Red Sea at low altitude. EA-18G Growlers flew alongside, jamming enemy radar and cloaking the strike group's approach. JDAMs were dropped with pinpoint precision, targeting fuel storage tanks and underground tunnel entrances. Within 30 seconds, secondary explosions rippled across the northern sector of the port. Thermal imaging revealed multiple hotspots igniting in succession, a clear chain reaction effect. As the second wave commenced, Ras Isa port was already engulfed in fire. But the assault still wasn't over. From offshore, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer opened its vertical launch system cells. 2 Tomahawk cruise missiles were fired. They arced into the sky, then dropped low, hugging the sea surface en route to their targets. Objective: the southern sector of Ras Isa, where U.S. intelligence had flagged suspected weapons transfers taking place in a disguised oil storage facility. One missile hit directly into the structure. The second slammed into the entrance of a suspected tunnel, collapsing the rock face above it. Total time for the strike, less than 6 minutes. Total confirmed targets neutralized, 17. And the Houthis? Disoriented, scrambling. Radio communications were abruptly cut. Radar systems went dark. Infrared footage showed vehicles retreating deep inland, many with lights off, some fleeing with doors still open. No signs of coordinated counterattack, no retaliation orders issued. At the Pentagon, the mission report came in. No damage outside target zones, no U.S. casualties, all primary objectives neutralized. But what etched this mission into the record books wasn't just the level of destruction. It was why it happened. One mistake, firing at what they thought was a routine UAV, triggered the full weight of U.S. stealth air power, carrier-based strikes, and precision warfare doctrine. Not out of vengeance, but because that is the established rule of engagement. The strike on Ras Isa wasn't just about destroying a launcher. It was a clear message, not just to the Houthis, but to Tehran and Moscow. The U.S. doesn't need to be provoked twice. The message was delivered through action, in steel, in fire, and without ambiguity. For the Houthis, the consequences weren't just material. They realized too late. They hadn't just fired at a bomber. They had opened the door to a response far beyond their control. By sunrise, the smoke plumes over Ras Isa were visible from orbit. Infrared imagery recorded heat signatures where fuel depots once stood. Now nothing more than a charred scar on the Red Sea coast. Inside Houthi territory, total silence. In the immediate aftermath of Alpha Strike Package, radio traffic dropped to near zero. What few signals remained were fragmented and panicked. Some units reported they had lost contact with command. Others never responded again. Ground sensors tracked fighters fleeing on foot, leaving their vehicles behind, still running. There was no official statement, no organized response, only smoke and silence. The Houthis understood what had just happened, but they had miscalculated both the speed and the scale of the U.S. retaliation. For years, Ras Isa had been a strategic gray zone, a location often bypassed by coalition airstrikes. But this strike wasn't random. It wasn't about fuel. It wasn't revenge. It was about strategic value. This port wasn't just storing oil. It sustained logistics, financed UAV production, and served as an encrypted communications hub spanning western Yemen. U.S. intelligence had monitored Ras Isa for months, analyzing its role, no longer civilian infrastructure, but a military node. And the moment the B-2 was fired upon, that assessment was confirmed. What was once an assumption became a target. And in that moment, the rules changed. Less than 24 hours after the airstrike, the global oil market began to shake. Defense analysts, from Washington to Brussels, scrambled to understand what had just unfolded. Had the U.S. crossed a red line? Or had the Houthis pushed Washington to the edge, leaving it no choice but to act? Inside the Houthis' encrypted communication channels, the chatter was no longer just panic. It revealed something deeper, a collapse in command structure. Messages repeated the same urgent question. What happened to the radar systems that had gone offline? Multiple units could no longer verify coordinates. GPS signals were jammed. Rumors of cyber attacks spread among officers still searching for orders from command centers that no longer existed. What they didn't know was that the data package collected by the B-2 didn't just guide an airstrike. It dismantled their entire operational network. Relay stations destroyed, command nodes severed, mobile launchers eliminated before they could even relocate. At Ras Isa, what burned wasn't just fuel. It was momentum, the illusion that they were still in control. As the world waited for an official response from Washington, none came. No press conference, no political statement, only images, satellite photos of scorched terrain, heat maps glowing red, before and after comparisons, showing absolute transformation. And what remained was a single, undeniable truth. The order of things had changed. For the Houthis, the idea that they could fire without consequence no longer exists. For the powers backing them, the message was even clearer. If you hide military operations inside civilian infrastructure, that infrastructure becomes a legitimate target. This was not just retaliation. It marked a shift in operational thinking. A new phase of the conflict had begun. A phase where stealth bombers are no longer deterrents in the sky. They are hunters. The reports that once served as intelligence logs now read like target lists. And if a radar station goes silent for just 6 minutes, it could mean a strike is already underway. The impact of April 17th didn't end with craters in the dirt. It reshaped the entire strategic landscape. From a military standpoint, the April 17th airstrike was textbook. Precise, clean, decisive. But what set it apart wasn't just execution, it was the message it carried. A message not only to the Houthis, but to every actor watching the region with a finger on the trigger. Until that night, America's posture in the Red Sea was largely defensive. Drones patrolled, destroyers shadowed cargo lanes. Threats were monitored, logged, and occasionally met with measured responses. Rules of engagement were cautious. That's exactly what made the Ras Issa strike a turning point. Because this time, the US didn't just react, it flipped the script. Deploying a B-2, America's top-tier strategic stealth asset, wasn't just about hitting hard. It was about showing resolve. A message, loud and clear. We're no longer playing by your tempo. The Houthis, and more importantly, their backers in Tehran, Damascus, and beyond, had grown used to operating in the gray zone, launching drones from residential areas, hiding weapons in civilian infrastructure, placing command nodes beneath oil facilities, all built on a single assumption: that the US wouldn't risk a political fallout by striking targets tied to civilian or economic use. One mission, and that assumption collapsed. Ras Issa wasn't just destroyed, it was redefined, from a port to a legitimate military target. And with that shift came a new doctrine. If it supports the war machine, it's within Washington's crosshairs. This wasn't escalation, it was a clarification of the rules. The strike sent a message to allies, to adversaries, and to those in between. Stealth bombers aren't just for total war. In principle, they're already active. They're watching. And if threatened, they'll act, not in days, not in hours, but in minutes. The battlefield didn't just shift geographically, it shifted psychologically. And that may be the most important victory. Because modern war isn't decided by bombs alone. It's decided by initiative, by tempo, by controlling who strikes next. After April 17th, that first move no longer belongs to the ground. It belongs to the sky, to the one that's already left the scene, silent, invisible, and gone. The skies over Yemen are quiet again. But that's not peace, it's a pause. When the smoke cleared over Ras Issa and all signals went dark, something changed. Not just the terrain, not just the tactics, the entire equation. America made its position clear. The rules have changed. You don't fire at a B-2 and just walk away. You don't hide a war behind civilian buildings and expect to be safe. If you target American assets, America won't wait. America will strike back. That single missile didn't just miss its mark. It rewrote the game. A deep reconnaissance flight ended in 6 minutes of modern warfare, driven by data, precision, and a new doctrine. Not reactive, but proactive, calculated, relentless. And now, every radar left on too long, every convoy drifting off course, every antenna where it shouldn't be, comes with a new risk. Not just being watched, but being hit before even realizing you've been targeted. That is the true legacy of April 17th. And that's why this story matters. What do you think was the real turning point in this entire campaign? Was it the Houthi missile launch? The decision to strike Ras Issa? Or simply the presence of the B-2? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to join us in bringing these frontline naval stories to light, hit subscribe and become part of the team. We'll see you in the next battle. Stay sharp, stay ready, because sometimes it's the war you never see that changes everything.